I'm Trevor Kinkade, and I'm a freelance designer, and I specialize in logo design and branding. I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona. That's why I have a cactus in my logo. Everyone loves the saguaro.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I love that cactus in your logo. And how long were you in the military?
4 years active duty and 8 years total if you count reserve time in college.
Okay, nice. Well, thanks for your service.
Thank you.
What got you started on the visual design path?
Yeah, well, I've always been a creative, but it was really in the Army where people started recognizing that I had skills in design, and all of a sudden I started designing everyone's unit t-shirts and stickers, and it really kind of rolled on from there.
Cool, nice. What does a visual design entail? Like logo, brand identity, website?
Right, yeah, so like visual design can be like anything, and I like to use words like creative or creative design over graphic design, because graphic design can kind of be pigeonholed in the digital realm. I really like to think like as creatives we can do anything, whether that's physical murals or stuff on the computer. Really keep it open-ended.
Oh, it's a really good thought process behind that. And what's your favorite aspect of design?
Definitely the logo design and branding, and really the reason there is it's where I can give my clients the most value for my time. Like print products, they come and go, flyers and posters, you see them 1 week and then they're gone. Web designs are always changing, but if you get a logo right and it's the brand is correct, then the shelf life's really forever. It can last as long as you need it to.
Well said, for sure. And let's talk about logos. How important is a good logo?
Yeah, the logo is super critical, and I think as business owners, we underestimate this all the time. You got to think of a logo as an asset for your business. So instead of, it actually has monetary value. When you sell your business, like let's say tomorrow, you're also selling the logo, you're selling the brand with it, and it's value added. At the same time, a logo that's poorly done, that doesn't represent your brand correctly, could actually be a liability, value subtracted from your business.
Really well said, really good points, and thanks for bringing that up.
For sure.
Is it okay to switch your logo or branding later in your company?
Yeah, it seems like maybe you wouldn't want to, but you'd be surprised. You think of like Pepsi changes their logo and brand, like it seems like every 10 years, and the key is that they're still recognizable even when they change. Hypothetically, like let's say if your logo is poor or your brand isn't serving you well, it would be better to hit the reset button, start from scratch, rather than keep going forward with a brand that's really not serving you that well.
Yeah, no, really good points on that. And you're right, you do see major brands like Pepsi and Starbucks change all the time.
Sure.
Perfect. All right, well, can you give me 3 things every logo should do?
Yeah, for sure. Number 1 is recognizability. So the key to that is being unique, and one of the things we overlook is being able to recognize your logo from a distance. So if you were to look off in the distance at any one of these marks that we might see, it's key that there's plenty of white space and uniqueness to your logo. If you have too much going on, if it's too complicated or crowded, the further away you get looking at that logo, people are just going to kind of see a jumbled, sort of blur of a logo. You want it to stand out really wide from a distance. Another key is definitely flexibility. So you want your logo to work on black and white, you want it to work on color, business cards, different backgrounds, you want it to be blown up on a building. So whatever that design is should be flexible, and normally that lends itself towards simpler logos. And then the final point is consistency. Once you have that logo and it's good, you have a stellar brand, you just need to use it the same way consistently, and that helps create remembrance for your audience. if you're using colors that aren't part of your brand, or you're doing something kind of weird with your logo. It's really easy for our audiences to kind of get confused and not recognize you. A logo needs to say what a business does. And I hear this all the time, and we're always saying, that's a great logo, but it doesn't really say what the service is or that company is. Which, if you start to think about it, isn't exactly true, because then Target's logo would be a shopping cart, or McDonald's logo would be a hamburger, also along with Wendy's and everyone else. And Amazon would have a warehouse for their logo. But we don't see that. Instead, we see unique icons that they really attach more symbolism to. So that's what we're really going for, not something that says literally what a business does, but rather a unique symbol that we can attach meaning to uniquely.
Yeah, really well said. Perfect. And does color really matter or make a difference in the perception of your brand?
Yeah, it definitely does. It's kind of a gray area. There's all sorts of subjectivity with color, but in general, you got to think blues are more safe. Something like a yellow or an orange is excitement. Red can be really intense, aggressive, maybe even loving. Greens are about growth. You see a lot of financial companies using it. And then when you pair them together, you can have complementary matches and stuff. We can really go on all day about color theory. And sometimes we think a design is making something look pretty, but it's really much more than that. If you think about Nike, people get really pumped up about Nike. People love to wear Nike. They love to represent that brand. As a designer, that's the best feeling in the world, is when other people, whether they know it or not, want to adopt something that you designed. And that's really what we're going for when we talk about morale.
So let's run through your process a bit. What's a creative brief?
Yeah, a creative brief is kind of square one in the design process. And this is where a client and designer sit down and really get to know each other, get to know the goals of the business. It's a lot easier to design for people that you're friends with than just mere acquaintances.
For sure. No, that's really helpful. And what kind of research do you do when starting a design?
Yeah, we would first start with the business itself. So what makes it tick? What's the business model? What are the goals? And then from there, we look at, your competitors. What are other people in your area doing right? What are they doing wrong? How can we differentiate you, and how can we actually be better than them? And then we'll take cues from outside your industry. So if there's other brands, sort of unrelated, that are doing great things, it's okay to adopt those and bring them into what you do.
Perfect. All solid steps to create a dynamic brand. And what's a mood board?
Yeah, a mood board is a tool designers and clients will use to kind of get a feeling of the direction you want to go for. And this can have color swatches on it, it'll have patterns, maybe other logos people have done, and based off of this mood board, it sort of gives you a direction of where you want to go with the branding.
Cool. So I know that you have adopted this in your logo design process. Have you found it helpful?
The key about mood boards is that you go off in the right direction when you're designing, and you don't spend a whole lot of time on, a look that the client's not really going to go with.
Yeah, no, for sure. I hear you on that. Perfect. And how many varieties or concepts do you usually come up with for each design?
Yeah, the magic number for me is 3. I feel like 1 or 2 concepts, we haven't done enough exploration. 4, 5, 6, we start kind of diluting the quality of the design. So 3 is really that golden lock zone.
No, that's perfect. Awesome. And how involved are the clients in the design process?
Yeah, really as involved as they want to be. I have some clients that are really laissez-faire and kind of put everything in my court. But at the same time, there's other clients that want to be more involved with the process, and that's totally cool too. I try to bring them into the sketching process and let them look at the sketches beforehand. They get to see more works in progress. So, it's really open, doesn't bother me either way.
Perfect, sounds like a fun process. And what happens when the client decides on a final design?
Yeah, so once we have that design that we love, I'll go back to the digital files and we'll make sure that the spacing is perfect, everything about it is working. All the vector points are kind of minimized. Once that logo gets out into the world and leaves my computer, it's really hard to make changes to it. So we want to make sure that what we send you is good to go.
100% agreed on that. And how do you deliver the final design assets?
We'll package them up in a file kit, and this includes all industry standard files, web design files, which tend to be smaller, print design files, larger, raster, and then, brand guidelines. We'll do your color specifications, obviously the original editing file.
Cool, it sounds like you're gonna give your clients everything they need to create a successful brand. Perfect. So before we close the interview, let's learn a little bit about you. On your LinkedIn page, it says you were a Zamboni driver. Is that right?
Yep, I drove the Zamboni.
Perfect, and what's a Zamboni?
A Zamboni is a ice resurfacing machine. You'll see it at ice rinks, maybe at hockey games in between the periods. And it basically just cleans the ice, lays down a fresh sheet of water to freeze.
Cool, and be honest, is that the best job in the world?
Yeah, if you've ever heard the song, I Want to Drive a Zamboni, you just know.
All right, cool. So you also completed an online copyright course from Harvard. What was that?
Yeah, so this was called Copyright X, and it was a basic copyright law course with Harvard, and just laying a foundation for what copyright law is, and I really think it helps inform what I do as a logo designer to make sure I'm not infringing on anyone else, but at the same time, I'm not becoming a lawyer anytime soon.
Perfect, and that's such an important part of branding, so kudos to you for taking that step. Perfect, all right. So I heard you're also certified in HTML and CSS for web design? Yeah,
I'm super proud of this. Basically kind of taught myself the fundamentals of coding, and I find it really helpful in web design. It allows me to do a further amount of customization for my clients and really eases things.
Perfect, yeah. It seems like we keep moving towards tech, and it's going to be crucial in branding in the future, so that's fantastic. So what do you like to do when you're not working or learning?
Usually like anything physical, so I might take my dogs for a run, or I play ice hockey too. After spending so much time in front of the computer, it's just nice to get out and kind of do something else.
For sure, and Colorado is a great state to do that in.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part about living in Colorado?
It's definitely the community and the people. I've made so many great friends here. It's really cool to see everyone hiking and growing beards and drinking IPAs. It's all pretty fun.
Colorado is the best, and our community is second to none.
Sure.
All right, so Colorado winter or Arizona summer?
Yeah, now that it's about to be winter, I'm definitely Arizona summer all the way. I'll take the heat. It's good.
Agreed. iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
All right, so I'm assuming you use a Mac?
I'd probably be blacklisted by my design community if I said what I use, so I'll keep it quiet.
All right, it's a mystery. Perfect.
Okay, so let's get back to Trevor Kinkade Design. What should people prepare before contacting you about design work?
Yeah, nothing in particular. Just give me a call and we'll go from there.
All right, sweet. Where can people find you?
You can find me at trevorkinkadedesign.com or at the website of the same address, trevorkinkadedesign.com.
All right, awesome. Well, that's it. The last question is for you to ask our audience.
Yeah, is your brand serving you well?
Awesome. Thank you for being a part of the Nowhere Project. Can I get a high five?
For sure.